Well, welcome back. I am currently unterwegs, as the Deutschers would say, here, uh, just doing some tourism stuff, being a tourist, and what that really means for me is a lot of thinking, a lot of just walking around and being inside of my own head, which is, I feel like that just saying that in general is turned in a negative way. Oh, you're just inside your own head. But yeah, I like it. That is kind of my whole job, in a sense, is to figure out how I think and to help share that with others and help other people's discover their own way of thinking. Well, as I was doing some traveling around, I'm currently getting rained on, so I decided it would be a nice little time to sit down and film the pod, because I got to get this out of the way one way or another. And I do have a nice topic that I wanted to talk about, which I thought of while I was doing some of the walking around. And that being the sense that I feel like there is one really strong way to figure out what your character is, who you actually are. And that is, who are you in the face of freedom, in the face of having no outside responsibilities. You don't have to go to work. You don't have to meet someone. You don't have to do anything for someone else. And it is literally just you. This feeling of Saturday or Sunday, the weekend. How do you act in those moments? Well, that really shows who you are as a person. Because, again, you don't have to uphold anything for anyone else, and it's just operating on yourself. Now, of course, there's always things. You might have kids and family, and there are some situations where you'll never not be operating and doing something for someone else. Excuse me. But there are definitely moments where you'll have less on your plate, where you'll have more time to think for you. And what do you do in those moments? How do you spend your energy? Where do you find yourself? This is a question I've been asking myself a lot, and really today specifically because, well, I find myself in this situation in a very big way. My trip to Germany here, where I'm going to be here for 3 months, well, I don't have any responsibilities per se coming from the outside. There is no single person telling me to be here at this time. I don't have to go to school. I can't even work while I'm here. And so everything that I do is based on me. It's based on my decision. So how do I show up for myself every single day? It's like this situation of, I would ask yourself, if I was to spend every single day like I spent my last Saturday, or how I spend a usual Saturday, how would my life change? Would I want that outcome? Would I want to see those results happen over and over and over again? If Monday through Sunday was exactly like how I live out that time where no one's counting on me, no one has to, there's no homework I have to finish up, there's no essay due, there's no spreadsheet or presentation I have to finish, and it's just me. How are you operating in those moments? Now, I don't want to do this in a way of demonizing relaxation, demonizing self-care, but I do bring this up in a sense of, how are you relaxing? How are you doing self-care? Is your self-care and relaxation actually giving you the benefit that you're looking for? Are you going to see long terms? And I think you can really look at it in the sense of the same thing that I brought up of, if you were to live that relaxation every single day, maybe your form of relaxation is going out and partying with some friends. Is that actually sustainable? Now, it doesn't have to be every single day. I'm not saying you can't go out and party, but I am saying question yourself. Question the reasoning why you're doing this. Because I do find that a lot of people go to things that they find as quote unquote relaxation, though it ends up causing way more stress in their life. I find that sitting on your phone and procrastinating for a thing isn't necessarily a good form of relaxation, because it's only going to make that thing that it may only be due tomorrow and you may be able to do it tomorrow, but then you're constantly thinking about it. And then you're trying to distract yourself from thinking about it by being on your phone. And it's just this cycle that repeats. And is that even really relaxation at that point? I would say there is a big issue with a lot of people today putting the whole world around them before they put themselves. And I get it. I understand where that's coming from in a sense. You don't want to be selfish. You have people in your life that you are caring for. And that is great. I feel the ideology of putting people before yourself is very noble. But I do believe, truthfully, that you can actually help the people more by putting yourself first and then helping them. Because, again, it is pouring out of an empty glass. You only have so much to share. And if you are not giving back to yourself in the first place, where you're going to have less and less and less of that. Of course I want to help people, but I believe I can start with my best foot forward by helping myself first, by understanding who I am. And over the long term, I have so much more to give out because I am pouring into my own cup again and again and again. That's kind of this living for yourself. No one is telling me to sit down here and film this podcast. And I honestly don't necessarily want to. It is almost always uncomfortable to sit here and speak out my thoughts. But I do enjoy having it done, being on the other side of it. These are all the things that people necessarily, they want that. But will they actually give the effort for it? Going to the gym is the effort that it requires to feel healthy, to have a better looking body. Putting in the work to make the project is what's going to have the project finished at the end. Now, I gotta move some stuff around so I don't get absolutely drenched here. There we go. I'm gonna be wet coming home. That's a fact. This morning, I didn't have to wake up early. And I didn't necessarily want to either. I haven't been keeping the best sleep schedule. And with that, I have made the promise to fix it, to make it better. And to do that, it requires work. And it requires just a little amount of doing something that I don't want to do. Waking up early on the right time is uncomfortable. And even if I do have a good schedule, it will still feel uncomfortable in many moments. But having been on the other side of it, knowing what results I can get from waking up earlier, from having a morning routine, from not waking up at the last moment and having to rush from this thing to that thing, I know that I want that. I want to have that accomplishment. So it is okay to be in that uncomfortable moment. It is okay to not want to do it and still do it. That's the whole reason. Now, don't do stuff that you don't want to do and there's no reason to do. But do the stuff that you don't want to do and there is a very strong reason for why you actually should do it. Being on the other side feels great. But being in the moment doesn't necessarily. I would say the majority of the time it just doesn't. Just taking a quick look at my noties here. I want to get back, because I've kind of rambled off a little bit, but I want to get back to the main topic of how you treat yourself, being such just this pure form of who you are as a person. How you treat yourself in the face of freedom is the strongest signal of who you will be, who you are becoming, the direction you're going on. Because, sure, the majority of the people out there can put in hard work, but can they put in hard work when no one else tells them to? Can they put in hard work when their boss tells them they don't have to, or their teacher tells them they don't have to? When the only person there telling them to do it is themselves, will they show up? And that is a really big question. It's a question I still ask myself today. I'm still trying to get all the data. Oh my goodness. I don't know if you can see that in camera. I'm getting actually drenched right now. Lord have mercy. and the show goes on. That water just done spooked me out of my ideas. Where am I? Holy Lord. I would say who you are in the face of not having anyone telling you to do it except yourself. Well, that really shows you how much of an authority you are with yourself, how much of authority you have over your own being. And this is a really big deal. Yeah, it's a big deal, because if everyone else has authority over you, which is fine, you're gonna always have people that you look up to that you'll have to show up for or you want to show up for. But if you are not on that list, and if you are not number one on that list, well, I find that as a big problem, because then you have this sense that someone else deserves more than you do, deserves more of your own energy than you. Someone else is out there telling you to do something, and you'll do that for them. And yet, when you tell yourself to do something, you don't show up. Now, what does that say about the relationship with your own self? For example, if you had a boss who told you to do X, Y, and Z, and you just didn't, and then they get a little mad, frustrated, and they say, okay, do this, this, and this, and if you do it, we'll be good. And you're like, okay, I'll do that. And you just don't do it. Well, I'm pretty sure you're going to get fired, if not a little later on, because that is just not a strong relationship. It is you lying, basically, or putting a false foot forward, putting more on your plate than you can actually take, and saying, yeah, I can do that. Yeah, sure. And then you just don't do it. You don't show up. Well, no one wants to be in that relationship. It's going to be the same way if it's a, romantical relationship. If you have a partner and they ask you to do this, this, and this, and you don't do it. You say you're going to do it and you just don't. Well, that's relationship probably going to end up being toxic. It's probably not one that's going to be that lovely or last that long. And so, if you wouldn't do those in those situations, would you do that with yourself? Be honest. Is there moments still to this day where you say, okay, I'm going to do this, this, and this, and you just don't. You don't show up. Maybe something gets in the way. Maybe you just feel lazy. Maybe you just don't want to, and you just don't show up. Are you really building that strong of a relationship with yourself? And if you don't have that right now, I can tell you, it can come from one of two ways. It could come from simply not giving the effort, or giving the effort in the wrong sort of way. I found in my own life, at the very least, that I was in this cycle of promising too much and then not being able to show up. If you put too much on your plate, well, you're just going to overwhelm yourself. And if you don't have any data showing yourself that, okay, I can do this, I do show up for myself, I am respectful of myself, Well, trying to go from 0 to 100 isn't the answer either. You aren't going to be able to unlock this just spiritual self-confidence overnight. Unfortunately, it takes data, and that takes a while to build up, and you have to build it up slowly. You have to be very careful about what you promise yourself. The same thing goes for any other relationship. You have to be very careful about what you promise. If your boss comes into your office and says, "Hey, can you make our company $1 million?" And you're like, "Sure, yeah, of course I can." And you don't, well, they're going to not trust you the next time. And then the next time and the next time, they're going to say, "Yeah, well, this guy's a little big-headed." But if they come in and they say, "Okay, could you make us $1,000?" And you're like, "Yeah, I think I can do that." And they come in a few months later and they're like, "Hey, man, you did it. What do you think about 10,000?" And you're like, "Well, yeah, I could probably do that." And then they come in later and they're like, "Wow, you did 10,000. What do you think about 1 million?" And you're like, "Well, 1 million might be a little too big, but I will raise you 100,000." That's kind of how you have to structure it with yourself. You have to go to yourself and say, "Hey, what about going to the gym twice a week?" And you're like, "Okay, that's a lot better than every single day. And I think I can do that." And you have to be honest with yourself. Can you do it or can you not? Because we want to start out with something that is 100%. Maybe even can we go to the gym 1 day a week? Because that is something that I could 100% do. I could 100% do this. Could we take a day where we don't eat sugar for 1 day? Okay, I can 100% do that. There's no way I'm not doing that. And then you get this data throughout the entire process of, okay, yeah, I do 1 day, and that was uncomfortable. I didn't necessarily enjoy being in the moment, but I enjoy being on the other side of it. I really think I can do 2 days. And you push yourself. Now, if you set the whole goal of, okay, I'm not eating sugar for the rest of my life, then you're going to get overwhelmed by just that certain jump, and you're going to end up with this overwhelm. It's going to overtake you. You're going to end up relapsing, maybe even going into whatever addiction, whatever thing that you're trying to break or trying to start. You kind of go in the opposite direction, because then it just feels impossible, and you're like, okay, why not? And you just go back to it. That's not a great cycle either, I tell you. And really, you can unlock so many things that you're already doing right now. All it takes is a little bit of noticing, sitting down and saying, okay, what am I already doing that is beneficial for me, that can be data? Okay, maybe I already wake up at a specific time every single day. I get out of bed, and that's a goal that I've always wanted to have. So let's make sure I'm recognizing that as an accomplishment and not just something that I'm doing, not just a thing. It is beneficial for me. I've talked about this before, I think in the last few podcasts. If you can make brushing your teeth meaningful, something that is so beneficial for you, well, it changes the whole aspect of the game. Something so simple becomes very strong data that you care about yourself, that you are showing up. It's really a great hack to take everything that you're already doing that's already beneficial and seeing how that literally means you care for yourself, you are showing up for yourself, you respect yourself. And then you just have to build on that. I will say that you already likely have quite a bit of data, and it just takes the recognizing. Now, sure, we still need a lot more because we want to push our limits. The whole name of the game is being able to do something greater and greater. Being able to really unlock our full potential. But that does not start by just simply setting the bar at 100 meters and trying to jump that high. You have to learn how to climb first. So if you have a great base, which I would say 95% of people already do, then we just have to move on from that. Okay, maybe I'm spending too much time on my phone and I'm cutting that away. And that's my focus for the next 2 weeks. And then we kind of keep that in the background and say, okay, I did that. I'm really happy. Let's move on to the next thing and the next thing. And it is really this consistency of, am I trusting myself? The best way is do a to-do list, really. And do one that's kind of daily and checking in with yourself. Maybe if you have a daily thing, it just feels good to check it off, and then you have the data. You can go back and say, okay, this week I showed up 80% of the time. 80% of the things I actually did, and next week I want that to be 90, or I want that to be 85, and you just really push yourself. You make it kind of gamified. This is a big topic. Just look at the numbers, look at the data. Don't focus too much on the data, because the data actually has to mean something in the first place. Don't just say, oh yeah, I did this, this, and this, and this. I can break down one thing into 100 things, so that means I get more points. Nah. Actually make sure how you structure it is meaningful, honest to yourself. You don't want to fall in the trap of just chasing numbers on a paper. We want actual impact here, and not just movement, not just, noise that is taking up more of our time. There is a difference between actually bettering yourself and just doing things. What works for one person and might actually be very beneficial for that person might not be beneficial for you at all. And just blindly following whatever you see on Instagram or YouTube, whatever routine or tutorial, isn't really the way to go. Try stuff out, sure. Take inspiration, but understand why in the process. Okay, why do I like doing this, and why do I not like doing that? And is it actually beneficial for me? Or is it just for this person and this person and this person, maybe for everyone else, but not for me, truthfully. Truthfully, I need to find something else. I need to do a little more searching. Yeah. Honestly, I talked a lot more than I thought I would. I'm going to take a quick little glance at my notes to make sure I done hit everything. I done knocked it out of the park today. Yeah. I guess the one thing that I want to close this off with is this feeling, if you are in a situation where you don't feel there's much freedom, there's not much time for yourself. It is simply fulfilling the life of someone else, doing work for someone else. You can't wait for your escape, because I will tell you, being in a situation right now that I am in, where the freedom is 100% there, and there is nothing sitting in front of me, well, it doesn't really feel like the escape that you could imagine. It doesn't really feel like just that freedom is there. It's a skill that has to be learned. I can't just go from completely living my life for someone else to completely living my life for me. There has to be some skill that I'm building in between. So you can't wait for your escape, because it will never come. If you feel like you're in this situation, well, the only way out is to take a little time to focus inward. And that's going to help you in the long term benefit the people around you.